Thorogood. My name is Judge Sara Smolenski. I have you in front of me on an old case 3 years ago, October of 2017, a shoplifting case out of the Cascade Walmart. Does it ring a bell to you?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the only thing I'm talking to you about. It looks like right now $591 that's owed. It never got paid. Are you in custody right now on something else?
No.
You're not in jail on anything else, it's just this?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your best explanation, if there's an explanation that you can think of, as to why you've never paid this?
'Cause then I wasn't working. I had my baby. I wasn't working then. That's just...
How old's the baby now?
She's 3 now.
3 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Well, the case itself goes back to October of 2017, 3 years ago. They call it a civil contempt. It's a hassle, I'm sure it is. I don't know how many times you've thought of it. But because it hasn't been paid, it's like you stay at the Kent County Jail until that amount is paid. That's probably around 2 weeks, I'm guessing, I don't know. If you can come up with the money, it will cut the time that you spend in jail. But the civil contempt is $591. Now, do you have questions for me? It's about 15 days at the Kent County Jail, but the people at the jail will tell you exact. And it could be that you get out early, sooner than that. I don't know. What questions do you have for me?
Like, I can't have nobody bring it up here to pay it, or I just got to serve time?
No, you can have anybody bring it up. Pay it today and you're out.
And you said $591?
Yep. Anytime you can get it, it's about $40 credit per day. So each day they'll tell you how much, because it does go down. But yeah, you don't have to sit there. If you can pay it today, you're out today. I wished we could have done it 2 years ago, but it's now 3 years old and we just got to get it resolved. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Ms. Thorogood. Appreciate your courtesy.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Santos?
Mr. Felix Santos? Mr. Santos, I'm Judge Sara Smolenski. I'm at the 63rd District Court. We're located at Knapp in the Beltline. I'm talking to you over the video today from the Kent County Jail. The charge they're talking about is late last night, resisting or obstructing a police officer. They use the terminology that sounds like it's a knockdown, drag-out fight, but really you don't have to even have any physical touch. It says assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger a deputy by the name of Miskowski, a sheriff with the Kent County Sheriff's Department, when you knew or had reason to know he was performing his duties. They refer to it, Mr. Santos, as a felony. It's a high court misdemeanor felony, 2 years in prison, possible, and or $2,000 fine. This is called an arraignment. And an arraignment is the first time you come before the court to hear what it is you're charged with, what the possible penalties are, and what your rights are. Now, you have the right to remain silent. You don't need to say anything to anybody about whatever happened or whatever. Anything you do say orally or in writing can be used against you in court, so always be aware of who you're talking to. You do have the right to have a lawyer present during any questioning that you consent to. And if you could not afford to hire your own lawyer, the court would definitely appoint a lawyer to represent you, because on a felony like this, you must have a lawyer. They won't let you go forward without legal representation. You've got 2 appointments set up on your case, Mr. Santos, October 26th and November 2. October 26th is actually a Monday, 2 weeks from today. And then 3 weeks from today is November 2, which is the prelim. The first one's called the probable cause conference. It's at 8:45 in the morning. We'll do it by Zoom. So we'll have you connected by video again and talk with you. You'll have a chance to talk with your attorney because like I said, you have to have a lawyer. The probable cause conference is kind of where they determine whether you need a preliminary exam. That's what they've scheduled 3 weeks out from now, November 2, for a hearing where the prosecutor has to present evidence to show, 1, that a crime was committed, 2, that there exists probable cause to believe you committed the offense. They're talking about this resisting and obstructing a police officer. And like I said, the terminology makes it sound like it's a knockdown drag out, but it could be you running across a parking lot when you're given notice to stop. Okay, any questions for me?
No. I was
Did you get, I'm sorry.
I was told to just plead not guilty, and I got a
Yeah,
lawyer.
that's definitely, we'd for sure say not guilty.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure not guilty. And then did you get fingerprinted already?
Oh yeah. Yep.
And is the address on Kennewa in Sparta where you live?
Yep.
Can you get mail there?
Yeah.
Do you have family, like kids, parents, spouse, people that live there with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I do.
Who?
My mom and dad.
Your mom and dad? It's
And a
actually
couple
their house?
sisters. Yeah,
Okay,
a couple
that's
sisters.
fine. And they
It's gonna
know
be
where
theirs
you
for
are. They're
a
not,
while.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's gonna be theirs for a while. So, I was just saying that.
Okay, I'm just saying your
No.
mom and dad know where you are. They're not panicked about
Oh,
where you are.
No. Yeah, they're okay.
Okay. And
Yeah.
were you just taken into custody last night?
Yeah.
Do you work?
Yeah, I work with I work.
Like the job?
I do.
What job do you have?
Yeah, yeah.
The name of an
I do
employer?
a job. I do a job, and I get some unemployment too. I used to do concrete, so I get unemployment from that, from COVID.
Okay. So you were with a concrete place and then for COVID you had to go on unemployment?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What was the name of that concrete place?
JDE.
Okay, JD Concrete?
JDE.
And, okay. And I don't know what this is about. You're not in custody on anything else, correct?
No, they said we're just gonna just clean it up. It was just a misunderstanding.
Okay, I don't know anything about any of that. I'm just saying not guilty on your behalf. You talk to your attorney. It's going to be a 10%. That means $300. You should be able to come up with that with some of your unemployment money or your
Yeah.
folks. Not to keep you in custody, but to be released. You post the 300. Don't have any contact with any of the people involved in this. We say not
Yeah.
guilty. We'll take it from there. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
So not trying to be funny, but do you know the 2 dates I gave you? 2 weeks
Yeah.
from today and 3
Yeah.
weeks from
Yep.
today? 8:45 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. Don't miss them. October 26th, November 2, just so we're on
Okay.
the same wavelength. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for
Thank
your
you.
courtesy. Thank you, Mr. Santos.
Your Honor, did you need to address that case with money owed or no?
I didn't see a case with money owed.
His shows a driving with no license that still owes money. I'm sorry, that's the next case. My bad. Mr. Santos.
Okay, that's fine. Yep, it's Richard Serdoz. Okay. Richard, how do you say your last name? Serdoz?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Mr. Serdoz, it's Judge Sara Smolenski, and I have you in front
Yes,
of me
ma'am.
for what's called an arraignment. And an arraignment is the first time that you come before the court to hear what you're charged with, what the possible penalties are, and what your rights are. They're talking about a charge of assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger. A Sawyer Christensen with the Kent County Sheriff's Department. When you knew or had reason to know he was performing his duties, they refer to it as resisting and obstructing a police officer. It's a high court misdemeanor that they refer to as a felony. 2 years in prison possible, and or $2,000 fine. Do you have any questions about the charge itself?
Yes, ma'am.
Question.
I'm currently under doctor's care.
Is that a question?
I was wondering how I could be assaulted when I was minding my own business.
Well, that's kind of hard for me to answer that question. Like, you could be asleep and assaulted and didn't even know it. My
Okay.
point to you is, I know nothing about this case. Nothing. I'm reading it to you for the very first time, and all
Yes,
I
ma'am.
get to see is that at the Walmart on Alpine Avenue on October 10, you were charged with retail fraud, 3rd degree, and resisting and obstructing a police officer. Retail fraud in the 3rd degree, they often refer to as a shoplifting case. I don't know the details of that, and we enter a plea of not guilty on both cases.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
retail fraud 3rd degree is claiming that while the store was open to the public, they're alleging you stole property from the store that was offered for a price of less than $200. That's the misdemeanor. They
Yes,
call it
ma'am.
retail fraud 3rd degree, 93 days in jail possible, up to $500 fine, or 3 times the value of the property stolen, whichever's greater. The resisting
ma'am.
and obstructing is dealing directly with a police officer who they're alleging you knew or had reason to know was performing their duties. Now, if I understood your question about how could you be assaulting someone if you're minding your own business, that's why we say not guilty. I don't know the details of this case, and that's why you
Yes,
have
ma'am.
to have an attorney. Because your attorney will give you more advice and counsel and look into the details and all the options that are available. Right now, you have the right to remain silent, and that's why I kind of cut you off when you started telling me about your medical problems. I don't get into the details about this case or about you, and I know nothing about either right now. So
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have the right to remain silent, but if you do start saying stuff to people, or you talk to other people, including me, what you say can be used against you in court. You do
Yes,
have the
ma'am.
right to have a lawyer present during any questioning that you'd consent to. And if you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, the court would have to and would appoint a lawyer to represent you, because you have to have an attorney on this case. They will not let you handle it yourself. There are 2 dates that are set up that you have to be in our court, either physically in person or Zoom. And right now with
Yes, ma'am.
COVID, we're never sure exactly which way we're going. October 26th and November 2 are the 2 dates. It's 2 weeks from today on a Monday and 3 weeks from today on a Monday. They both happen to be scheduled at 10:45 in the morning, and your case is in front of me. The first appointment on October 26th, 2 weeks out, is what they call a probable cause conference. And you and
Okay.
your attorney would be talking about the case and the details about the case with the prosecutor. And then you make a determination, Mr. Serdos, whether you need to have a preliminary exam, which they've scheduled the following week, November 2 at 10:45, also a Monday. Whether that preliminary exam is where they take testimony, and the judge would be me, and I'd have to listen to what anybody said, people at the store, people at the Walmart, customers, workers, police officers, people that might have been with you, whoever was there and saw whatever happened. We hear the testimony, and I have to make a determination, was there a crime committed? Is there probable cause to believe you committed the offense? That's what they focus on at that preliminary exam. Now, so far, Mr. Serdos, can you think of any questions for me?
May I be released on a personal recognizance bond for recovery?
It's a good
and
question.
Surgery?
It's a good question that you're asking, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Is the Robert Street address in Comstock Park where you live?
Excuse me?
Is the Robert Street address in Comstock Park a good address?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what's
that-
the address you live at now where you can get
My
mail?
address is 926 Tarpon Street, Wyoming,
Uh-huh.
Michigan,
Uh-huh,
unknown zip code.
okay, we can look it up. Is there an apartment number?
No, it's a
Tarpon
trailer
is
house.
spelled Tarpon is spelled Tarpin?
P-O-N Street,
Oh,
and I
P-O-N,
think it's
okay,
northwest.
Wyoming, Michigan?
Yes,
When
ma'am.
is your surgery?
My surgery is coming up for my shoulder,
Uh-huh.
October 23rd, I think.
And do you live with anybody at Tarpon?
I do. I take care of my friend Becky Small.
Uh-huh.
For her
So when
mom
you're
just died
having
of a heart.
surgery, who's your support group?
Becky Small and Jeff Wyckoff and Julie
Okay.
Kramer.
Okay, but only the one person lives there with you?
Yes, only one person lives there with me, and then Jeff
Okay.
lives over on. I can also receive mail at Jeff's house if you'd like.
No, we'll just send it to Tarpon, that's all we'll do. We'll just keep one address. Tell me, who does your surgery?
Dr. Maskell and Dr. Andrews.
Okay, and do you know, the date that you're thinking is October 23, which is
Yes,
actually a
ma'am.
Friday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you work outside the home?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the job?
I clean up the yard, and I wrote down. I got a job at Burger King recently on 44th and Clyde Park. They're giving me 2 days a week. It pays $15 an hour, and I'll be able to pay all my fines and costs.
Currently, right now, I'm sorry.
My responsibilities are to clean up the parking lot, wash tables, and do prep cook for 4 hours a day.
At the Burger King.
Yes, ma'am. I love my job.
That's fine. I got no beef with that. Oh, that sounded funny.
Okay.
I got no beef with that, but yeah. Okay, here's my question. Here's my question to you, Mr. Serdoz. Do you currently have some cases out of Nuevo that you're dealing with currently?
Yes, ma'am, and I've almost got those all taken care of with fines and costs paid in full.
And you have an attorney on those?
Yes, ma'am.
Who's the attorney that you're working with in Nuevo?
Rick Prysock?
Okay. And with this older case that we had with your name on it,
Yes, ma'am.
it was a driving suspended ticket that goes back to July 2018. We're talking Forest Ridge, Point Avenue, Plainfield Township, and we're talking about a 1993 Plymouth automobile.
Yes, ma'am.
Does
that
that
car is
ticket
destroyed.
or that car sound familiar?
Yes, ma'am. I still owed you $107 on that ticket, and I just did. Let's see, Monday, or I just did 3 days in jail at 40 days for that fine, $117.
You really mean $40, don't you?
Ma'am.
You said 40 days, but you really mean $40.
I did 3 days at $40 per day, and I
Yeah, but
owed you
you don't always get
$117.
Ours is 170. I don't know if you thought it was 107. Ours is 170.
Oh.
You're not lodged on our driving suspended, but it's
I
not
see.
automatic when you're in custody on other matters that you automatically get that
Yes, ma'am.
money. So the days you're in right now, like if you were in on Nuevo, and your Nuevo
Yep.
County case is a felony, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'll make our current case, which is the retail fraud and the resisting and obstructing, I'll make it a $10,000 PR bond. I won't make you post any money, but one, no criminal activity. This is pretty standard. No alcohol or illegal drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, I'm saying these are pretty standard. 3, you're going to have to report to court services. So once you're out, you're going to have to call them as regularly as they ask.
Yes, ma'am.
You cannot have contact with any of the Walmart stores, particularly
ma'am.
the Alpine Walmart. No contact with any Walmart. I don't know how many are in
Yeah.
Grand Rapids, but
Yes, ma'am.
particularly the Alpine for sure. No contact with any witnesses that are involved in this case. We enter a plea of not guilty on these charges that are being made against you, the shoplifting case and the
Yes, ma'am.
felony resisting and obstructing. You're not allowed to have any contact with any of those police officers or any
Yes,
of the
ma'am.
people that work at Walmart or any of the
Yes, ma'am.
witnesses to the incident. And you must pay the 170 on the other case before you're released from jail. So
170?
170, yep, 170. That'll finish that other case from 2 years ago. And we'll make it a PR bond with those 2 dates I gave you, October 26th, November 2. Can't miss it. Understood, Mr. Serdos?
Ma'am,
Yes?
I'm unable to make any phone calls where I'm at to make the 170.
They'll let you
as
use
soon
the
as-
phone.
We don't have any phones in here.
Oh, you're in isolation with COVID?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Who would you call?
I would call Becky Small.
What's her telephone
And-
number? We'll call her for you.
Oh, sounds great. It's 616
Uh-huh,
260
uh-huh.
0234.
What
And
we're
she
gonna
might be
tell
able to
her-
pay that 170.
Right, that's all I'm gonna tell her about. She already knows you're in custody, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll just tell her about the
And may I
170.
release
and
my
see if-
property to her?
I don't get involved in that. You can talk to the people at the jail on that.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
All right, October 26th, don't miss it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Demanding?
No, sir.
Yeah.
Back upstairs.
Mr. Arjun Tamang,
Hello.
hello. You speak English, okay?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Tamang. I'm Judge Sara Smolenski. This is called an arraignment. An arraignment is the first time that you move your chair a little bit to the right. Just kick out to the right a little bit. Perfect. Because my video had your face completely blocked off, so now I can see you. Thank you. Mr.
Okay.
Tamang, this arraignment is the first time you come before the court to hear what you're charged with, what the possible penalties are, and what your rights are. They're saying that on October 11, which was Saturday, I think it was Sunday.
Sunday.
On Sunday, October 11, yesterday, in the area by South Division and 68th Street, they call it Gaines Township, that you got arrested for operating while intoxicated, first offense. It's like sometimes you hear, Mr. Tamang, people say drunk driving or DUI or OUIL, operating under the influence or operating while intoxicated. It's a misdemeanor, criminal case, up to 93 days in jail, up to $500 fine, 6 points on your license if you pled guilty or were convicted, and you'd have to go through a screening and alcohol assessment that they'd sit down and talk to you for about 45 minutes about alcohol or drug habits that you might have. Operating while intoxicated also can require that you lose your driving privileges from the Secretary of State, where they can step in and take your license away based on your master driving record, where the Secretary of State can suspend, restrict, or revoke your license. Now, Mr. Tamang, you have the right to plead guilty or not guilty. You have the right to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You have the right to have an attorney. If you couldn't afford one, the court could appoint one for you. Then you pay the expense of a court-appointed attorney. You'd have the right to have a trial where you could bring in witnesses, cross-examine witnesses, take the stand yourself, be a witness if you wanted to. If you chose not to, your silence cannot be held against you. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Can you think of any questions that you have so far, Mr. Tamang?
So you know what are the charges that I got?
So the charges that you have are called operating while intoxicated, sometimes called drunk driving.
Okay.
It can be with drugs, it can be with alcohol, it can be with other chemicals that wouldn't be alcohol. It doesn't have to be drunk, like people think a drunk is with alcohol. It could be vaping, it could be breathing something, it could be taking medication that makes you impaired. It doesn't have to be alcohol to have you be under the influence. Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You'd have the right to have a trial where you could bring in witnesses, cross-examine witnesses, take the stand yourself. be a witness if you wanted to. If you chose not to, your silence cannot be held against you. And you have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you on probation or parole right now, Mr. Tamang?
Oh, no, ma'am.
No business in any other court? You've got nothing else going on?
This the first time.
Yep, good. So any appeal that you'd want to pursue, if there was something you didn't understand or didn't agree with, you have 21 days after being sentenced to appeal a case to the higher court. That's called circuit court. Is the Silver Shores address in Kentwood a good one?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And you can get mail there, like with your mom and dad or with your family?
Yeah, my parents.
Okay. Do they know right now you're in custody?
No, ma'am.
I don't want them to be worried about where you are. Are you going to be able to contact them?
Yeah, I'm trying to make a phone call, but it's nobody pick up the phone. They're probably at work right now.
Oh, okay. How old are you, Mr. Tamang?
Oh, I'm 24.
Okay. I'm going to release you from the jail. I'm not going to hold you on this case. It's going to be a $5,000 PR bond where you do not post any money. We say not guilty on your behalf. But while you're out on bond, you don't post any money, but that while you're out on bond, you cannot drink alcohol even though you're 24. I'm saying no alcohol, no illegal drugs, no trouble of any kind. If you do not have a valid license, I don't know, but if you don't drive. If you have a valid license, then you're allowed to use it, but if you don't drive. Today, we say not guilty on this case, operating while intoxicated. You will get paperwork at the address at Silver Shores to tell you when to hook back up with our court, okay?
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would
Okay,
withdraw from Hill, Sir Hill, Santos, to Maine.
I think that's the only one then. Yeah, then we have Mr. Buxia stepping in. Thank you,
Right.
Mr. Hillary. Your withdrawal motion is granted.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You bet, thank you. Okay, is it Logan Gigar?
Yeah. Yes. Geiger.
How do you say your last name?
It's Geiger.
Geiger? I think I've
Yeah.
asked you that before. So,
Yeah,
Mr. Geiger.
I've been in here before.
Yes, I know it. And we've talked before, and I've asked you how to say your name before, and I didn't remember, so I'm sorry. But
Oh,
now
you're
I'm
fine.
remembering. You told me you gave me the address on Marfield in Byron Center. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I don't live there anymore. That was just for mailing.
Okay, so where
I
do you
have
want
been-
your mail to go now?
7040 Festival Drive. I live there permanently, so.
So it's 7040 Festival Drive,
Yeah, it's in Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids zip code?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
I think it's 49548.
48, okay. So here's what's happening. When you had that case that we've talked about before for a 5-year felony of home invasion 3rd degree, I gave you a PR bond and you got out of jail. I asked you to report to court services and they said you have not contacted them.
I
You
don't
got
have a
released
working
back-
phone.
Okay, I get it. You got released from jail back July 17. So today is October 12, almost 3 months later. You never contacted court services, whether you ever had a working phone or not. In 3
There was
months'
no way I
time,
could.
well, I don't believe it. In
And
3
then I
months,
ta-
that
I-
you can't borrow a phone from anybody,
Well, I was trying to get I was homeless for a lot of the time I got out.
right?
And I
Even
just
homeless
got my
people,
house.
some homeless people have phones. Not
I
everybody.
wasn't in the area. It was just me. I was the only homeless person in the area. It was where I was at.
Uh-huh.
And
For 3 months,
like
not for 3 months though.
no, it was about a month ago that I just got my new house and I did a background check at my job and they said nothing came up, so I just thought it passed because I just turned 18. I just got a job. I work 5 days a week and I babysit the other 2 days. I have no room for anything. I shouldn't even be here.
Okay, but Mr. Geiger, you knew that you had a felony with our court. I talked to you about it. You
Yes,
knew it
and I
was
literally,
charged.
all I did was take a marijuana bowl and I gave it
I
back
don't
to the
want you to
guy.
tell, I don't want you to say what you did, because that could just get you into more difficulty. I get that you're presumed innocent, and we take that very seriously. But for you to think that it passed, and that your job did a background check and nothing showed up, so you're good to go, you're smarter than that, whether you're 17, 18, or 19. So now you put me in a predicament where the last time I trusted that you'd show up, you didn't.
I didn't have a
Set
ride.
this up. Well, didn't have a ride, didn't have a phone. You could have put something in the mail if you got a stamp from somebody, and you could have written me a letter directly. I don't know if a stamp is 40 cents right now, but I'm sure that would be, might be a problem. But I mean, there are ways to communicate.
Yeah,
And to not
I
hear
just-
from you at all? How long have you been in custody now?
I got arrested yesterday from work.
And when you got arrested at work, how did the police get involved?
I was just working, and then someone called the cops on me saying I was there, and they just came in, ordered
What
their
is that
stuff that they
job?
wanted to buy. Speedway on 68th Street.
Speedway
just
on
started working there.
68th Street?
Yeah, I just started working there like 6 days ago, so I've been just...
And you're thinking it's somebody that works there that called it in?
No, because it was just me and one other person, and I saw someone that was the house owner's son that I broke into. It was the house owner's son.
Yeah, that makes
I think
sense.
he probably called or
Yeah,
told his mother
probably.
that he saw me.
Yeah, probably. So now you're in custody on this because you never came in, you never called us, you never sent any information, you just thought it was over.
Well, I just moved cities too, so like I was trying to get
Yeah, it's
situated
hard.
there and
Right.
try to make some money
Because
so I can
Byron
get an
Center
active
is
phone.
what you told me before.
Yeah, I moved to Grand Rapids. It's on 68th Street. I live in
Okay.
Holiday Estates now.
All right. Are you representing Mr. Geiger? Mr. Abuxia, do you know if your office has been appointed?
I'm not sure if anybody from my office has been appointed.
I believe they have from the paperwork that I show. I don't know who it is.
What
Like
what
I
was
said,
what was
we've
the
had a
last
couple-
or upcoming court date? I can check.
Well, the video, let's see, the prelim was August 5. The preliminary probable cause hearing was July 29. He failed to appear for both of those. August 5 was really
Everybody can
the
afford a damn
date.
car, okay?
Tell me
Humane.
again? Tell me again, Mr. Geiger?
I just can't afford to get anywhere. I don't have any money in my name.
Well,
That's
I
why I
mean, I'm
couldn't
sure that's
make it
difficult, and
there.
I'm not going to try to, I'm sure that's difficult, and I'm not going to try to pretend I know what that's like. I'm sure it's very difficult. But if you've been working 6 days at a speedway, you had a chance to make phone calls.
I wasn't
That's just
thinking about
one
it at the time. I
example.
was doing my
Yeah.
job.
Okay, this is,
Looks like Marcus Shamil, Your Honor.
okay, let me just tell you this, Mr. Geiger. You got 2 new dates, October 26th and November
Okay.
2. They're both at 8:30 in the morning, October 26th, November 2. They're both Mondays, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out. Now
Yes, ma'am.
recognize, I've had the same talk with you before. I gave you dates and you blew it off. I get that you got busy. I get that you didn't have resources. I get that you didn't have a phone or a ride. But for 3 months to not get a hold of anybody, and I don't know if you ever met Mr. Schmiel, probably not.
I've
He's
talked
the
to him
attorney?
once on the phone.
Once on the phone?
Yeah,
Okay.
once on the phone.
Well, let me just say that right now, ours is a 5,000, 10% bond, not a PR like before. Now it's 10% of $5,000, which is 500, which is, I'm sure, undoubtedly going to mess up your job at Speedway if you're still in custody. 5,000, 10% on this case. Don't miss those 2 dates, October 26th, November 2, both 8:30 a.m. and 8:45, but 8:30 is what you should remember.
So I have to pay the 500 to get out?
Yes.
I don't have anybody that can help me with that. That's why I have a job, so I
That's-
can start paying things myself.
Right. So you're
Because I
going to be
don't
in
have
custody.
anybody.
Right. And you're not still homeless,
No, I have a
but you
place
don't
where I
live
have to
with
pay
anybody
rent.
else?
I live
You
with
don't
my
live with
roommate,
anybody else? Okay.
and I don't know his phone number. And as I told you, I work 5 days a week, and I babysit the other two. I have no time for anything else.
Okay. Mr. Schmiel will be notified by his colleague, and he'll contact you at the Kent County Jail. That's the attorney you spoke to on the phone last time. Okay, that's it.
Hello?
Is it Mr. Kenyate Lowe?
Keontae.
Keontae.
Yeah.
Mr. Keontae Lowe? I'm Judge Sara Smolenski. I'm at the 63rd District Court. We're located at Knapp and the Beltline. We've got your files out in our court from May 1 of 2019, driving with no insurance, a 2005 Chevy, and then a month later, June 4, we're both talking 2019, the same 2005 Chevy, same ticket, no proof of insurance, at Plainfield and Jupiter. Those cases went through our court, and you were fined on both of those, and each one has not been taken care of. Does it ring a bell at all, Mr. Lowe?
Yes, I actually was gonna pay about 2 weeks ago, but they told me they can't take the warrant off until I was paid in full, and I really ain't got the money. I was just got into a new house with my mom and stuff.
So are you in custody right now on anything else?
Yes, driving without a license again.
Oh, no, geez, because it just piles up. Those tickets just pile up. And then the Secretary of State jams you, and you don't get a license for a year, 2 years, 3 years. How old are you?
25.
Yeah, it's young to throw away all of this stuff that's happening. It's just piling on. All right, I don't have anything to do with the driving suspended that you're in custody on. If they hold you on that, so be it. I have nothing to do with that. Ours are 2 tickets that are identical, a month apart, $412 each. I don't want to hold you in custody on our case, $824, but you're going to have to pay it. And
I'll
I'd
start
like
making
to say,
plans.
tell me again.
I'm sorry, I was about to say I started making payment plans. I just started
Yeah.
getting this unemployment
Yeah, it's good.
and just got in
It's
a new
good.
house.
May of 2019 is a year and a half ago. It's a year and a half ago. And now you want to make a payment plan. It's just way too long to let it go, to do nothing. That's what's happening. Well, I'll just say, I don't want to keep you in custody, but I'm going to say this is October 12 today. By Thanksgiving, you got to have half of it paid, 412. By Christmas, you got to have the other 412 paid. So I'll go to the end of November and the end of Christmas. You know, end of December. I'll just
That
say
sounds-
end of December. End of November, end of the year. $412 times 2. If you don't pay it, you sit in lockup. You won't be sitting there now unless you're held on your other case. Do you understand, Mr. Lowe?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Figure out how you're going to get your money together and talk to who you need to borrow it from to get it taken care of in a timely fashion. Okay, that's it.
So you don't know about this other little...
Is it Mr. Willemstein?
Yes, Willemstein.
Mr. Willemstein, I'm Judge Sara Smolenski. I have you in front of me on an old case that goes back to resisting and obstructing a police officer from July this summer. And the case itself, we had it set up for a prelim for you to show up on. and you failed to appear for the prelim and the PCC in August. Does it ring a bell at all?
Well, yeah, I guess it does a little bit, yes. Yes, it does.
Okay. Do you know how you missed court?
I'm not even sure how.
You don't know how? Okay.
No, I don't. No, I kind of been a little bit homeless out here a little bit.
Okay.
So I haven't been receiving my mail the way I used to.
Okay. You're 40 years old. Do you have kids of your own?
Yes.
Originally, you posted bond on this case. Did you get help from somebody, or was that yours?
That was my ex-wife.
And did the kids go back and forth, or did they just stay with her?
They mostly stay with her, but they go back and forth. I get to see them.
Yeah. So do they know you're in custody right now?
Yes, they do.
Well, I don't want to have her keep putting money that's going to be thrown away, but you were supposed to be here in August and you never appeared. I just got done talking to a kid a minute ago who ran into the same predicament. In fact, he told me he was homeless. And I'm not doubting that it's difficult, but to not hear anything from you. How long have you been in custody right now?
Not even sure. 4 or 5 days, something like that.
Are you in custody on something else right now?
I don't believe so.
Okay, just this. So here's what's going to happen, Mr. Willemstein. Your dates for your appointments now have to be shifted because you've missed them in August. Now you got October 26th, 2 weeks from today, 10:30 in the morning is the probable cause. November 2, 3 weeks from today, Monday, 10:30, is the preliminary exam. You'll get an attorney and you'll talk with your attorney on this. October 26th, 2 weeks from now, November 2, 3 weeks from now. Those are the 2 dates you got to remember and commit to memory. And we'll be Zooming together or on video together, or if you're still at the jail, we'll talk to you just like we're talking to you now. It's a $5,000, 10% bond, which means you got to post $500 to be released. We enter a plea of not guilty on the charge of resisting and obstructing a police officer, and you'll have a chance to talk with your attorney on the felony. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay. All right, that's it then. Thank you.
All right.
What is going on with me? I don't know. Not even a clue.
All right, we're all set, Your Honor, thanks.
Okay. Okay, did you, let's see. I realized that there's a different case for Mr. Willemstein now, and I didn't realize that. I got 2 of them. Yeah, see if we can get him back. Sorry, Mr.
Hello?
Vuxia, I didn't realize. Yeah, jail, I was wondering if we could get Mr. Willemstein back. Mr. Gray, is that you?
Yes, it is.
We'll be with you in just a second. Hang on.
Okay.
Mr. Sinkler Gray, do you remember your case when you got the ticket? January 27 this year?
Yes, I do.
It's almost 9 months ago. Eastern near 76th Street, you got ticketed for driving suspended, no proof of insurance, expired plate.
Yes, I remember that.
They said if you pled to the driving suspended, they'd dismiss the other 2. Is that the route you want to go?
Yes, that's the route I'd like to go.
Driving suspended is a criminal misdemeanor, Mr. Sinkler Gray. It's up to 93 days in jail possible, up to $500 fine, 2 points on your license, the way the Secretary of State gives you points. You can plead guilty or not guilty. You can have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You can have an attorney. If you couldn't afford an attorney, Mr. Sinkler Gray, you'd make your own decision to decide whether you want to go forward with an attorney or not. And if you wanted to have an attorney, the court could appoint an attorney to represent you, even though you couldn't afford one. You'd have the right to talk to somebody about it as it relates. If you go forward today, those other 2 tickets will be dismissed, but you should only plead guilty to the driving suspended if you're guilty. Are you with me?
Yes.
Also, if there's anything you don't agree with or something you think is wrong, you have 21 days to appeal a case to the higher court, which is circuit court. Do you understand that? Any questions?
No.
Okay. Mr. Willemstein, I'm going to be back with you in 1 second. Just give me a second. I'm just finishing something. So, Mr.
Okay.
Sinkler Gray, to the charge of driving on a suspended license, how do you want to plead?
Guilty.
They're talking about January 27th this year. Do you remember it? 76th and Eastern?
Yes.
At the time you were driving, was your license suspended?
Yes.
Why risk it? Why drive anyway?
I wasn't aware at the time, but I was paying some fines through another courthouse and realized that I had got a little behind, and I was currently going through a case with my son, which I got custody back of him now, but I had to do it for my son to visit him.
I see. Well, do you get that you don't want to get yourself in more and more predicaments? You've got to clear up whatever the problem is with your license through the Secretary of State. Separate and apart from the car has to have insurance, that car has to have the right license plate on it, yada, yada. You know the drill.
Correct, yes.
Okay. I'll accept your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily. The other 2 cases will be dismissed. It's a $300 fine and a $75 crime victim's right fee for a total of $375. Now
Okay.
work on getting that taken care of, Mr. Sinkler Gray, in a reasonable time period so that you're not looking at creating more difficulty for yourself on a case that's not paid. Understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thanks for your courtesy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep, the court will be in contact with you via mail, okay?
Okay.
Mr. Willemstein, I'm sorry, when I was talking to you on that other case, I thought that was the only case I had. But now I see we've got a whole nother case. The domestic violence with Tina Hilliker, operating, driving suspended, malicious destruction of property, misdemeanor with the automobile owned by Tina Hilliker. Do you remember this case?
I thought that was already taken care of already. The judge had already made a ruling on that.
Okay, well, the only thing I have down on that case, and it was Judge O'Hara's case, was that you were to serve 272 days in jail, and you never
Okay.
appeared.
Oh, okay.
So how can you think it was done if you got almost a year in jail and you didn't serve it?
I didn't think anything. I was
appreciate-
just listening to what you were saying.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty. Do you remember Judge O'Hara, my colleague?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember him giving you almost 11 months, 10 months in custody?
Yes, I do.
I don't know exactly. It was August 5 that you were to report, which would have been, during this whole COVID thing. We never got any word that you reported to the jail. Well, you're going to have to serve that time now. So when I was talking about you getting out on that other one, pretty much forget it because you'll be in custody on this one. Any other questions?
Nope.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for your courtesy. That's it. Just wanted to follow up on you. I didn't see that file before.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh. Amanda, doesn't Serdo's, wasn't that one that was a high court misdemeanor? So we'll give him an attorney. All right, Ms. Martin, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Your first name is Devana?
Yes, ma'am.
So you remember that when you had your case at the 63rd District Court, it had to do with a ticket for retail fraud at the Alpine Walmart They charged you with the 1-year misdemeanor, Ms. Martin. And after you've talked with the prosecuting attorney, and this goes back to February 2nd this year, 8 months ago plus now, they said if you pled to the lesser charge of retail fraud 3rd degree, they'd dismiss the 1-year misdemeanor and it would be called the lesser charge, a 93-day misdemeanor. Is that what you wanted to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you know you can plead guilty or not guilty. You know you can have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You know you can have an attorney. If you make the decision to go forward, it's you and me talking to each other, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Then you're not going to be going forward with an attorney. You're handling this on your own. There won't be a trial, and you give up the rights associated with having a trial, like bring in witnesses, cross-examine witnesses, take the stand yourself, be a witness if you wanted to. If you chose not to, your silence cannot be held against you. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Any questions that you can think of?
No, ma'am.
So if we go all the way back to February 2, which, is 8.5 months ago or whatever, and we're talking about the Walmart on Alpine Avenue and the charge of retail fraud 3rd degree, how do you want to plead to that misdemeanor?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty by your own decision?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone forced or threatened you in any way to plead to that?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember the incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that Walmart open to the public when you were there that day, February 2?
Yes, ma'am, they was.
Were you with any other people?
I was with a girl that I know just from taking the bus because for a year I was taking the bus back and forth to work, and I had seen her on the bus, so I only know her as Aisha.
Okay. So when you worked at that time, where was it that you were employed?
I'm still working at the same place, ma'am. It's the Hilton
what
Garden.
is it?
The Hilton Garden Inn on Vegas Line in Burton. I do housekeeping.
So when
I've
you
been there
went to
for 2 years.
Walmart, when you went to the Alpine Walmart that day, you actually selected items that you wanted, like grocery items and stuff for you and some pants and some tops. Were those for you?
No, they were for my grandchildren, ma'am. I don't even know what I was
So they were
thinking.
children's clothing.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you put those items like in your bag that you were carrying them? Or would you just put them in your cart and push them through the line?
I actually was scanning items that I paid for.
But you didn't scan everything?
Right.
So you would scan some stuff that you paid for, grocery items or whatever, but you didn't scan everything.
Right. And the lady I was with was bagging it, and she didn't scan some of the items. She didn't tell me either that, hey, you didn't scan this item, because she was just putting them in the bags. So, yes, Your Honor, I did make a terrible mistake, and I'm very sorry, and it'll never happen again. I'm working.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, Ms. Martin, because it's really not a mistake, is it? You intended to get away with taking some stuff and not pay for it, because you're the only one scanning it, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And whether she puts it in a bag or not, you know whether you scanned it, true?
Yes, ma'am.
And it wasn't a mistake that you didn't scan everything. There was almost $50 worth of items you did not scan, so that's $50 of stuff you don't pay for, but you still get it, correct?
Correct, ma'am.
Including your grandkids' clothing, true?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you say this will never happen again, as an adult woman who's not only a mother but a grandmother, how do you get yourself into this predicament that you're stealing to begin with? You know it's wrong.
I know it's wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. I had the money to pay for the items, so I really don't. I did it, but I don't know. I did it. I'm guilty.
Well, you need to do some soul searching, Ms. Martin. You need to sit down and look at yourself in a mirror and try to figure out what's going on with you. Because I don't know you, but I am certain you're way smarter than this, and you know better. And hopefully you're teaching your kids and your grandkids to do the right thing. Oh,
Yes,
if they see something they want, you don't say just steal it.
No, ma'am, I don't. I tell them that stealing's wrong, and I don't even know what I really don't.
Well,
I don't know why I did it.
Okay, let's talk about the case you had with us in 2011. Do you remember
Right.
it?
Yes, ma'am. I was doing drugs at that time,
Uh-huh.
and
So when
I'm
you were doing drugs, and you're not doing drugs now,
no,
you
ma'am.
were involved in stealing to support your drug habit.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I don't know if it became too customary for you, or you just got used to it, or it became habit. But you just said to me, it was a big mistake and I'll never do it again.
Right, and
I already know two of these incidences where you're stealing and you know it's wrong.
Yes, ma'am. I do
I'm
know.
saying this, if it happens again, they'll charge you as a felony. I'm just being honest, Ms. Martin.
Yes,
They'll
ma'am.
charge you as a 5-year
won't
felony if you steal. Well, I hear you saying that, and I want to believe you, and I have a lot of people that say it.
I
It's a
know, Your Honor.
93-day, yeah. It's a 93-day suspended jail sentence. Go ahead, what did you want to say?
I was just saying that I've been working for 2 years since this incident, and I'm just trying to get my life back together. You know,
Yeah.
I'm clean now. I've been clean, so I don't
Okay.
know why I did it.
You
I'm
got to
sorry.
get yourself back on a stable front, because bottom line is you know better.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know that it's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. So what I was going to say is it's a 93-day suspended jail sentence. It's a $400 fine with a $75 crime victims' right fee. This goes back to February this year. It's a non-reporting probation for 90 days. For the next 3 months to the end of the year, I want to see that you are not going to be involved in any criminal activity of any kind. Now, you got to keep the stuff you bought, and the Alpine Walmart took back the stuff that wasn't paid for?
No, they took back everything. They refunded my money and took back everything.
Oh, so you got refunded and they took everything.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, the total for you on this case is $565. I'd like you to have it done by the end of the year.
Yes, ma'am. I can make a payment today if you would like. I can make.
I'll just have you be in contact with our court. They'll be contacting you about this, and you
Okay.
set up a plan.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for your courtesy.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, and you have a nice
Okay.
day.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Uh-huh. Mr. Abuxia, did you hear that Mr. Wassenaar checked in?
I did not.
Because I don't know how to hang this.
You just say leave meeting, and then you click on it. It says leave meeting.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Abuxia, do you think you're going to want to talk to Mr. Wassenaar? He contacted our court. He said that there was some mix-up with trying to hook in, and he wants to do it by phone. But I don't know if you're going to want to talk to him ahead of time. It's a retail fraud second, credit for time served. This is the one I talked about that served the 23 days.
Yeah, and that's how I have it too. I had 25 though. I don't.
Okay, that's fine. Let me give you the number real quick.